Life as a factory Ducati rider for Marc Marquez. He starts the national circuit in northeast Thailand. A rural lap Tissot sprint from pole position. He fired in a 1:28 points in the sprint here in Thailand. We're underway MotoGP in 20.
With Jack Miller just behind him, so they've swapped places off the line. Morbidelli next.
Welcome to MotoGP Ayagura. He's going to finish his first ever. He has threatened all weekend if he can get to the front early.
To keep pace. If anything, Bagnaya's got his hands full with the rookie Agura. Rather than look on the Honda, had to dodge around him, and he's also dropped places down to third.
Briefly through he was on Ayagura. Yeah, Bezzecchi has got through quickly
around the outside of at least two riders into turn one to move up to fourth. We were riding on board with the KTMs up behind, and Morbidelli put a huge.
Going to work out, was it, for the young Spaniard?
Nearly right into his teammate, right up ahead of his lap for Pedro Acosta. He's not the lead KTM. That's Brad Binder up from 14th.
The whisker quicker than Alex Marquez. The Marquez boys, the only. This is the battle raging between Morbidelli and Miller. This is for fifth backhouse teammate.
Watching the gap between Marc and Alex Marquez. It's
didn't we on the warm-up that he's had top 5 pace.
But any hope of sprint points now looks a far possibility for Marc.
Fabio Quartararo, who's been upwardly mobile in the first part.
To 8th.
Yeah, Binder's always aggressive, isn't he, on that very first lap? He's done so again. He's after suffering nasty and multiple fractures in his on course already for just his second sprint success. Marquez strong in the first 2 sectors on this lap 4 of 13.
Turn 12 in the last lap. This time Acosta has got it done, but the KTMs at the moment
sprint so far, but that is still 3/10 slower than the previous laps this time around. Marquez versus Marquez at the front. They've just
alongside it.
Yeah, they go side by side, elbow to elbow, swapping the same paintwork.
Sees it as Pedro Acosta is now having a look at Brad Binder, outbraking Binder.
The rear tyre of the factory Ducati.
Yeah, I was about to say, talk about a reputation.
The difference between Marc and Alex Marquez, nothing really in it at all. Left wrist and left hand, a supermoto training accident sees Marc retaliating here, going toe-to-toe with Bagnaia, 1:30.2, 13th place.
Yeah, we're watching him here now on screen. He's ahead now of Fabio Di Giannantonio.
Eventually, he was to surrender 10 places through the point-scoring play. Here's Bezzecchi. Let's get a replay of this. 9th place on the bar to bar with the best in the world is going to be so crucial. 79, which I don't think he would have expected coming into this.
89, he's now on the pace of the two Marquez brothers up there.
Good, isn't he? Charging in on that factory Aprilia. He is not shy, not close enough to show Bagnaia his front wheel into Bagnaia, the most successful Ducati rider in Grand Prix history. And doesn't he, on the brakes into turn 3, 2 laps in a row.
He's matching Alex Marquez, but he's got more problems by the 70. As you can see the live gap on the left-hand side of your screen. It has now just edged over.
For Marquez, looking to add the sprint victory yesterday morning as Marc Marquez. He said he just slipped seamlessly back into that, or Alex Marquez rather, in danger of slipping over a second behind the 9, showing the class that we know he has got.
I've been at the top to yesterday. He said no, that was a surprise. If he was surprised by that.
24. You really do have to doff your cap and say chapeau, don't you? Left wrist and left hand, a supermoto training accident sees Marc gung-ho and think, well, let's see how long I'm going to hang in there. Go full throttle, full.
You know, even at this early stage of the year, he needs to maximise the points and make sure that Marc doesn't get too on. We're only at half sprint distance, of course, in this.
Of a second, nothing at all between one most experienced rider at the front. Marc Marquez leads by just over.
And well, but Jack Miller's gone down. Miller on the floor. Miller who was off rear tyre by trying to go with Marc Marquez because the gap is really ballooning out.
Problems with Frankie Morbidelli at the end of yesterday's practice session. Stall out showing or giving his rivals a taste of what might be to come. Back through does Di Giannantonio.
Marc Marquez's lead has dropped back down to under a second again.
In 8th place. Acosta having got through on Quartararo.
Final sprint point.
Yeah, at the moment in the hands of me. I don't think he's going to.
It happened to Marco Bezzecchi there. He suddenly dropped back a few more places. He's back down to 5th.
There's Zarco, Di Giannantonio and Ralph Fernandez, though.
The starters, he had to dodge around the slow starting Bezzecchi. So Joan Mir's the
scoring places further back. We've got Brad Binder is hanging in there. Quartararo's got his hands full there. He ran wide, looked like he left wrist and left hand. A supermoto training accident sees Martin. That sort of gap's hovering around a second, 1.1. Having really pushed and pressured world champion. Marquez might be your pole sitter and he might be a sprint winner, but for me...
At arm's length, it looks as if that dream of a maiden podium sprint...
It's better than that, does it?
I'm sure we'll find out from Marquez after the sprint. Is this Marquez?
Well and truly on course, isn't it, for Marquez? What an opening. Fernandez, there's rookie Fermin Aldeguer. He's in 13th. Yeah, so close for as long as he did. Number 79, as Lewis mentioned, it just looks like he's running out a little bit. Is Ayagura on the Gulf approach that comes into the long lap penalty loop. That's a tough one to take.
His sprint looked like it's over.
Yeah, that's a shame because Fabio
0.9s. The riders from the Acosta group backwards are all well into the one.
Not the same without its number one. So we're looking forward to the Martin chart. We can see Bagnaia able to keep himself in those high 130s from the 6 times MotoGP world champion and the opening Grand Prix since 2014 in Qatar, of course, when he was
93 is about to return to the top of the world championship standings.
Yeah, and tomorrow
be a Ducati lockout of the podium, but as mentioned before, this spring early high ground got the lead into turn number 1, pulled out that lead of around the second.
Do the supporting role here so far throughout this opening for Raul Fernandez. You know, he is expected
7th place. He's 12 seconds behind Ayagura.
Thailand. Pecco Bagnaia has to settle for a distant 3rd place. Marquez makes a dream start in Ducati's dream team.